Hello and welcome to another video. I hope you're doing well. I know it's been a long time, so sorry about that. I'm doing well, so no need to worry. It's pretty cold and grey here in England, and the light's not great, so apologies if I kind of disappear into the dark in a minute. But I thought I'd start with a kind of TBR or book haul. Some of the books I'm planning to read quite soon. So the first one is the one I'm reading at the moment. I thought that'd be a good place to start. So I'm sure lots of people have read this, or they know about it at least. It's Babel by R.F. Kuang. I think that's how you say it. Apologies if it's not. Yeah, so I always saw this one kind of popping up on my Amazon recommended, and to be honest, I kind of wasn't that interested in it. I don't know why, I was reading more like high fantasy or sci-fi at that time, I guess, and this is more of a, don't know if you'd call that magical realism, maybe. It's not really traditional fantasy. And if you don't know, it's set in Oxford in the 1830s, and kind of blends this alternative history with this magical realism. So you have Oxford University, as you know, but there's a kind of novel institute of translation, and the novel follows a student there who's Chinese by birth, and kind of the magic system involves the use of translation. I don't want to give too much away, obviously, because yeah, I'm almost through it, and I really been enjoying this. I definitely think you should check it out. Kind of whatever you're into, because it's just really well written, really well paced. I think it makes interesting political points, and yeah, I should say it's quite a political book in the sense that it's very anti-colonial, deals quite heavily with race and exploitation. And I was interested in the author herself. She's a young author. She's in the 20s, and she published her first book, the Poppy War trilogy, which is a fantasy trilogy, when she was, I think, like 22. So it's quite impressive. Yeah, this is a very good book. I think it's going to be, well, we'll see how it goes, but strong contender for one of my favourite books of the year already. I think I can say that. Yeah, so let me know if you read this one, what you thought about it. I'm not gonna lie, I choose a lot of books based on the cover. I'm just shallow like that, but this one is a really nice cover. Got the city of Oxford in the background, and this lovely kind of silver engraving style. and you can see, or maybe you can't, Book of the Year. It's won numerous awards. It's highly praised for good reason. So yeah, I'm almost through it and I've really been enjoying it. So, second one I have on my list is Frank Herbert, Dune Messiah. So this is the second Dune book. If you don't know, the Dune world is a series by Frank Herbert. I think it has 9 books. I don't know. But this is the second. I never read this one before, and I didn't enjoy it. So I'm giving it another go just after I reread Dune again. I think it's difficult because Dune, the first one, is such an amazing book. It's just a difficult act to follow. I think I just kind of bounced off it the first time I read it. It was just not as grand or as visionary as the first one. It's also a lot shorter. I think the first Dune is about 600 pages and this is under 300. But yeah, I'm going to give it another go because I love Dune and I do want to read the entire series because I know later books are really highly acclaimed as well, so I need to get to those. But yeah, it's got a very nice cover again, Paul in the front. Not going to give you any spoilers. And I saw the film as well. I think I will watch the second part that's coming out, but it's not that I found the first one disappointing. It's just such a cliche to say it's not as good as the book, but it really wasn't. I think they did a good job, but I think the first book is so dense and the world building is so excellent that it's just really hard to match that. But you know, Timothy Chalamet's in it, so gotta watch it. Dune Messiah. And then I have 2 books which are part of a trilogy. I read the first one recently, reread it. So this is part 2 and part 3 of the Northern Lights series by Philip Pullman. So I read not Northern Lights, His Dark Materials. I read the first one, Northern Lights or Golden Compass, recently. And that was one of my favourite books when I was younger. And because I've been writing my own stuff, I wanted to go back to that one, even though ostensibly it's a children's book, just because I remember the world building being really excellent, and it still holds up. It's one of those books that's really actually for all ages, without coming across as young adult. I don't know if you get what I mean by that, but it's just a lot of young adult fiction comes across as very try-hard. I don't know how else to explain it, like very formulaic as well, like how many young adult novels have like there's 4 different divisions of the city, and she doesn't fit in, and then they lead like a revolution or something like that. She's the chosen one, etc. But I think Philip Pullman's writing is really, like, actually original and kind of visionary. I really enjoyed the world building. So I wanted to get the rest of the trilogy, which I've actually never read. And I really like these covers. They're like you have a kind of drawn background with a embossed object. It's all the same colour. See, these are 20th anniversary editions. So I got this one. The second one is called The Subtle Knife, and the third one called The Amber Spyglass, which is there, which is, not amber, because it's, what colour would you say that is? It's a shade of pink. It's like mauve, I guess. You can see I got these very second hand. I get most of my books second hand just because I'm cheap, Anyway, if you haven't read Philip Pullman before, I would definitely recommend for any fantasy fans. Yeah, I don't want to give too many details about the story. Yeah, there's talking polar bears with armour on, so you can't go wrong, really, can you? Yeah, that's part 2 and part 3 Philip Pullman and his Dark Materials trilogy. Next up, we have a bit of a departure. It's literary fiction. It's Vladimir Nabokov's Pale Fire. So, Nabokov wrote Lolita, and that's actually one of my favourite works of fiction, even though it's kind of grotesque and uncomfortable reading. If you don't know, it's about a paedophile, essentially. And obviously it was very controversial in its time. But his writing was just so incredible. It just makes the novel work. It's kind of funny in a deranged way. It's poetic. It's excellent. And I mean, I'm not the first to say that. So, I've never read any of his other works. I wanted to. And so I picked this one because, not because of the cover, because it's actually quite a boring cover. Even though I do love, like, the Penguin Modern Classics jackets, the green and the artwork. But yeah, I picked this one because it has a very unique structure, and I've been experimenting with structure in my own writing. So this one is it's quite a short book, and it has a commentary as well. So it runs about less than 250 pages. Half of it's in verse, or well, not half, but a large portion is in verse or in, poetry. And then the rest of it is in prose, but in a kind of commentary on the poetry. So you get this kind of dual perspective in a very unique way, and both sections kind of feed off each other. And, it's very novel, very interesting way to structure a book. And I just wanted to kind of see how he did it and see if that could inform my own writing. I like to read a mix of literary and genre fiction, just because I find that keeps things interesting, and I usually pick literary fiction like for specific reasons. Like I don't read classics just because they're classics. There's a lot I haven't read, like I've never read any Jane Austen or Charles Dickens or things like that, just because it doesn't really interest me, even though I know they're like objectively good novels. There's something about like 19th century English literature that just bores me to death, sorry to say. I know a lot of people will be irked by that, but I've just never enjoyed it. That's why it's usually modern classics, or something a bit different. Just kind of reminds me of school. So yeah, that's kind of the literary fiction that I'm planning to read. I don't read a lot of it because it can get really tiring. Yeah, that is Vladimir Nabokov's Pale Fire. So yeah, I can't recommend this because I haven't read it. I can definitely recommend Lolita, but I mean, you kind of need a strong stomach for it. You need to know what you're going into. But it's quite short and it's immensely readable. But yeah. And then we have another short book, a bit of non-fiction, called How Fiction Works by James Wood. So yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's quite a short one. You don't need to be an aspiring author to read this. It just kind of dissects some aspects of fiction that I never really taught to us. Things like perspective, use of metaphor, use of allegory, just kind of how they're used, why authors use them, and they use like examples from literature to illustrate points. I took English literature to college level, but I think unless you're studying creative writing, it's not something that's really taught. Specifically the aspects of the novel structurally beyond, what certain things mean or what the author was trying to convey, like actually how the novel is written. And obviously, as a writer myself, it's just helpful to know, to kind of have a toolbox of techniques. Stephen King talks about this in his book on writing. about how an author should have a toolbox of techniques that they can pull from, so they have the answer to every problem they come across. And yeah, this isn't a kind of scholarly work. He uses examples from like Harry Potter and everything to the classics, and so it's an approachable short book about writing, basically, and how writers write. So I thought this would be really interesting, and it's different to other books on writing I've read, in that it's not one author's perspective. He's pulling from different authors and how they do different things different ways, rather than, like, I'm Stephen King and this is how I do it. Yeah, I thought it'd be interesting. And then we have a pretty big one. Much more of a thuddy sound. This is The Bone Clocks by David Mitchell. So, it even says here, I don't know if you can read that, but author of Cloud Atlas. And I've talked about Cloud Atlas in a video before, I think. It's really one of my favourite novels. So I thought I should read more by David Mitchell. And the thing I really like about David Mitchell is, again, he experiments with structure quite a lot. In Cloud Atlas you had 6 different stories kind of woven together, and in this one it follows, I think it's 6, might be 7 decades of someone's life. So each chapter is a different decade in their life, from when they're, I think it's 16 to like 70s X. I thought that was really fascinating in and of itself. Just the way you could, and it's all in first person. He writes a lot in first person. So how a 16-year-old would write versus how a 76-year-old would write. Being able to convey that sincerely, I think, is quite a feat. So I'll be interested to see how he does it, and if it works. I'm sure it will, but... And David Mitchell, he writes, I guess you could call it literary fiction, but this strays into the realm of supernatural thriller, kind of like a Stephen King. I know that there's kind of psychic powers, let's say. It's set in modern day England, but there are paranormal aspects to the story. It's called The Bone Clocks because I know a central theme of it is a cycle of reincarnation, essentially. The bone clocks being bodies, like human bodies and human lives. And this is a hardcover. I rarely get hardcovers. One, because they're usually much more expensive, and 2, because they're just harder to hold, I guess. but I thought let's just try a hardcover for no reason really, and I quite liked the design on the front. But a problem I have with hardcovers is sometimes the jacket's just kind of rubbish quality. And yeah, this jacket isn't very, like, I don't know, like integrated. So I usually end up taking it off, which kind of defeats the purpose, but at least it sounds different, right? I was just going to see if we had a picture of the author himself. And we do. But my microphone's in the way. Sorry, that's like blinding you now. I changed the whole lighting of the video, but you know, there it is. Sorry, I can't bring him closer. But yeah. He's a young English author as well. Well, he was young. You could say that about anyone. But yeah. Thick pages. That's David Mitchell with the Bone Clocks. So, thank you for spending some time with me. A shorter video today. I just wanted to get one out because I've been procrastinating doing this for forever. Just want to say thank you for all your kind comments. I do appreciate them, and yeah, I want to make more videos. I just have hang-ups about it. Hopefully I've given you some, some inspiration for your own reading, or some ideas. Let me know if you've read any of them. I'm genuinely want to know, because readers sometimes feel like we're on islands if we're not reading kind of like the most popular books at the moment. Like Babel's probably the most popular book I've read recently. Well, I haven't read it, but yeah, I'm looking forward to these. But I mean, I might change my mind on half of them. I never know. Or other ones might catch my eye and kind of jump the queue. Yeah. So, hope you had a good Christmas. Hope you had a good New Year. And I hope you're keeping strong on those New Year's resolutions. I'm trying again for a book a week, but I've picked like really long books in the past, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, thank you, and I'll see you next time.